Welcome to Pretty Lies and Ugly Truth. Where you can either die with the lie or
the truth will set you free.
And I am the Alex E. Miller, and that lovely voice of reason you just heard was
Toya Vegan Mamiana.
And as we always do here on Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths, we allow the guests to introduce themselves. So you treat it like first day of school, first day on the job. Tell us everything we don't know, we should know, what we need to know, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. My name's Coleen Otero. I am a brand curator, founder of CEO Chicks, a network for women in business. I'm an author. I have a book called Brand to Bucks, where I help people learn how to build a brand that can bring in money. Like, it's time out for being cute and broke and all that good stuff. So I do my best to work with entrepreneurs and really help them to monetize their gifts and talents.
Nice.
I love it.
Yes, for sure.
I noticed you didn't roll the R for us.
Otero.
There we go.
Yeah. I'm Jamaican. My husband's Puerto Rican, but I know how to roll my R's.
Right.
Got you. One of your blogs, I noticed you mentioned the biggest mistakes that brands make, the most common mistakes, and what I think you mentioned as number one was the inconsistent company identity. That, it's the number one common mistake to kill a brand. So with you being somebody that is, celebrity beauty expert, branding strategist, motivational speaker, author, et cetera.
I do a bad job introducing myself. I'm gonna be honest. I'd be like, I'm a mom. I know people are like, you just leave out all that good stuff. I'm so horrible at introducing myself. I just want to get right into the conversation. But go ahead.
I'm with you. Now that's a good thing because what I'm wondering is, like, with you wearing so many hats and being so multifaceted, how do you position yourself to not be perceived as a jack of all trades and master of none?
I love that. Honestly, it all falls inside the scope of what I've done for years. So for 20 years, as you mentioned, I've been in the beauty industry. And so branding has a lot to do with imagery. It has a lot to do with how to show up in the marketplace. Being a hairstylist, you are a walking billboard. And so I think, honestly, because I live a life that's more principle based, naturally being in the beauty industry, I was able to segue into branding with ease. And it actually happened where people were coming to me to help them, back when social media wasn't the thing. It wasn't that hot. It wasn't all about marketing yourself and sharing all the amazing things you got going on. People, word of mouth, flyers, making sure you had ads out there, magazine spreads, stuff like that. But when things started to shift, people were like, who does your post? They started to come to me and say, who does your photos? Who does your hair? Who does your makeup? And so naturally and organically, it began to just go right into that space of branding. And so I took on the hashtag beauty branding and business, so that it would be as clear as possible to people what it is that I could do for them, if we were to partner together. So I can help you in the area of beauty, I can help you in the area of branding, and I sure enough got you in the area of business. So those are the things I love to do. And so I think that helped to bring clarity for my audience as a result of that. And business began to just really take off.
Yeah, kind of like that intersection, four-way stop where everything ended up meeting at,
Exactly. And things shifted. Like, I feel like with social media, a lot of things have changed, where we are now at a place where we can position ourselves and showcase the various talents and skills that we have. At one time, it was like, okay, this sister can only sing and this sister can only act. And this is you know what I mean? Now it's like we need the triple threat. You know what I mean? We're looking for the individual that can sing. We're looking for the individual that can act, and we're looking for the individual that can dance. So if you had all three, then it made it to where, wow, we can really do a lot with this individual that has taken the time to really do more and really invest more in developing these skill sets. At one time, it was looked at as, okay, you doing the most. Now it's like, we need the person that does the most.
Right. And is that something like, being basically a walking business yourself, literally? Is that what that would be? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the diversification, we have my husband's in, does real estate and investments and stuff like that. He's a financial advisor and he does IT. And so we often in our house, we teach, and I have 4 sons. I didn't say that in the beginning either. My oldest is 21. I've been married for 20 years and my youngest is 8, and I got all 4 brown boys. So every moment is a teaching moment, especially 2020. Like it has been like,
Congratulations.
it's been full of teaching moments, you know,
Exactly.
my kids on different levels, based on their capacity to receive information. We try to explain certain things to them. And one of the things we're talking about right now is diversify or die. And what does that mean? You know what I mean? What does it look like to be in a position and put yourself in a position where you are diversified, not just financially, but in the area of education and the things that you know.
Oh, yeah.
To make it to where if in any situation you can rise, you know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
no matter what's going on, you're going to be able to figure out how to read a room, how to understand, you know, how your skill sets can serve in that situation, and put yourself out there as an asset and not a liability. And I know that's saying a lot. Trying to explain something like that to an 8-year-old versus my 21-year-old looks very different, but it's really becoming what we're
It's
seeing in our
scalable.
world. That's it.
Depending, I mean, some people would say that, but I have 4 daughters, and that's my team. So, and my youngest is 6, my oldest is 15. So I'm there with you on, I actually have a group conversation with them. I don't take them separately, and because these kids are not how we grew up. They're very aware of what's going on. They see what we see. They hear what we hear. And I'm like, the only thing I can do is just come behind that and give them like the reality of the things that they're seeing and hearing and breaking it down. So I understand where you're coming from with that. Very much so.
It could get real deep real fast.
Real fast.
So yeah, and then you just really have to just be able to. It clicks differently for each of my kids because they learn differently.
For sure.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
for sure.
One, I can say it and they'll get it. The other one, it's like I have to demonstrate it a specific way, or there's a learning moment that happens that I can reflect back to a principle that we're teaching. And it's the same in business. It's the same with my clients that I help with branding. It's same with the members of the CEO Chick Network that are out here. Some were working jobs, got laid off, so now they're forced to work their business full time. You know what I mean? That you got some that have kept their job and still doing their side hustles, so on and so forth. So everybody is somewhere different, but at the end of the day, we all want the same thing.
Right.
And it boils down to freedom.
Right. Do you have that where you kind of like, it's something you have to believe in when it comes down to working with someone, helping them build something? Or do you just be like, all right, as long as you got your money, you got this and that, all right, I got you. Like, how do you?
No, I'm not wired that way.
Right.
I gotta feel it.
Yeah.
I gotta see it. I gotta hear it. I got to, especially with another reason that happened, because in the beginning stages when you're starting, it's sort of like, you know, I'm good if I'm not really all the way 100 or get the vision or something like that when you're first getting started. Because I'm testing the waters. I'm trying to make sure I'm really wanting to do this too. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So and I'm so open about that. Like I let it land where it lands. I'm like very open about it. And I remember my first client that I worked with was a single mom, and she was looking to establish her brand through a t-shirt company. And she has so many various things going on. And her t-shirt business, at first, she was just kind of doing it like a hobby. And I remember it clicked for me because she went from making probably close to like $2,000 in the entire year, because she was just doing it low key.
Sure.
To making just under $20,000 after working with me, and got her dream car and all this stuff. And I, you know, so that experience, it did something for me.
Oh, wow.
As much as it did for her. You know what I mean? And I still wasn't really marketing that I did branding at that time. I was just working with different people that were hitting me up. I was working at a very discounted rate. I was doing what you call working in the dark. You know what I mean? Like this thing ain't processed all the way yet. I'm not going to be out here talking about I'm a brand guru or none of that. Because some people take a class on yesterday and come out and think they're a guru the next
Yes.
day. Like that's not how it works.
Mhm.
There's a process, you know, of making sure that you can do something effortlessly. Honestly, that's how you know you've mastered it, right? Because you literally could do it in your sleep. You could do it on a bad day. You could do it when you're not feeling it. You could, you know, you don't have to be emotionally attached to it anymore.
Right.
But I've gotten to a stage now at this point where I am very much more particular about who I work with, because now my time is becoming less available. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I want to make sure I'm working with someone that understands that this is a partnership. Like, I work for no one. I talk about the very same freedom. That's number one. Like, I want people to know we're partnering together, that we're working with each other. And I need them to be very much involved in the process. I can't outwork you, is what I'm saying. Like, if
Of course,
I outwork you, we can't work together.
I can't do this for you.
Right.
And also, this is something that is your business, so you have to market like, I actually can do it and it works. And with it
Correct.
being work, it's not, you don't wave a magic wand.
Correct.
I need the other half, of which would be the person coming to you as a client, to be just involved as you.
Correct.
If not more.
Correct. And you know, sometimes my husband's very much into sports. I love boxing. I've recently started watching MMA and stuff like that, a little gory, but I'm like, I really like it. But one of the things I noticed that a good manager does is knows how to pick the opponent. Like, they realize to some degree, they come to a place where it's like, okay, they've gotten so good at picking an opponent that will allow their boxer, their champ, to remain a champ. And we've seen it. We've seen it at times. We've seen it. We step back like, he ain't trying to fight dude over there. He trying to fight. You know what I mean? So we gonna go the long route. Okay, fine. I'll be entertained. You understand what I'm saying? Like, they've done a good job at allowing you to see that boxer climb and climb and climb, and you waiting for them to fight this one particular person, because you feel like that dude is gonna be a real challenge, you know?
Right.
So I kind of look at it that way. You know, I want to make sure that I'm working with people, and I know it's going to be a win situation. It's going to be a great reflection on what I do as well as what they do. You know what I mean?
So I feel like, to sum that up, it's almost like you saying, okay, somebody should pick their battles on their way to the championship, right?
Absolutely.
So that being said, when you spoke of working in the dark, speak to how you have so many people in the social media era who feel like, you know, you got to film and share everything. And day one of the idea coming to them, they're like, oh, wow, like, I need to just start filming this so people can see the journey and it can be included. And they don't understand that there's still a whole nother step that you're going to get to, you know what I'm saying, before you get to that step. And then if something happens along the way,
and then so many things can happen.
You might have to take a detour. And then you can end up confusing people. Speak to that, because some people think you have to share it from
That's very much
day
confused.
One.
Yeah, it can be confusing. And I see a lot of younger people make that mistake because there's a lot of pressure to share on social media.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean? All day, every day, you scrolling, and somebody you love, you're following their life, and now you in their closet. You know what I mean? And then you in their bedroom, and they just crusting their eye. You know what I mean? And it's like, wow, like, I should be probably doing that too. You know, so there's always that pressure. And so one of the number one things is what I call incubation. And incubation is very much, as a woman who has a child, we can so much relate to that. And as a man who has a child can relate to that too. The minute your girlfriend, your wife, your significant other, you know that person's carrying or with child, the baby don't show up the next day. It's definitely a process. And it's very much the same thing with when you are considering a career, a path, a business, a new journey, whatever the case may be. You don't want to share it prematurely, you know, and it's one of those things that I talk about oftentimes, is taking that moment to sit back and say, what do you feel like this child's going to look like? What do you think this idea is going to look like? Don't share that with anybody. You know what I mean? Write it down. Take moments to really process and write things down and understand what it looks like. The other thing I recommend people to do is find someone doing maybe something similar follow their journey and see if, can you volunteer? Can you reach out, ask them for mentorship?
Like a spirit animal.
Can you ask them to for lunch? My mentor right now runs a extremely profitable practice. She is in PR, and she's out of the Chicago market. I'm in the Orlando market. And I remember literally being in a place where I felt like I was just pouring out and giving to everybody, and I myself was lacking a mentor. And I'm just like, man, I really need somebody that's killing it, crushing it, that would not be intimidated by what I'm doing, that don't want nothing from me, but really could see what I'm doing and say, I would do this, or when I was in your position, I did X, Y, and Z. Just some insight, you know what I mean? And so it took a while for me to find that. But when I did, I had to submit to that. I said I wanted it, but now I got to submit to it. You know what I mean?
That's that's a hard and big part. There's so many people now, like you said, you get a little feeling about yourself, like I got this going on, and they'll literally think, I don't need nobody, I made it. I'm here. I got it.
That's the demise right there.
I help you. Like, wait a minute. We all need, for one, I feel like people are like the greatest investment for me. That's how that's what I believe in. I don't think
is the number one
anything
currency.
runs without people. So anyone to think they're just so high and they're looking, it's so crazy to me anyways. So I respect that of you, like, to be so mature and be like, I got a mentor. Like, to see you as a strong woman as you are and what you do, and you say that, I was like, oh yeah, I like that. That's awesome.
And it's not
That's
for show.
real.
It's not for show, and it's not for the gram.
No.
Because at the end of the day, because people do that too. And I had to write about that as well and share about that as well, and relationship is the number one currency. That's what I believe. I operate. Anything outside of that is a liability. You know what I mean? And so for sure, that one of the number one things, again, to answer is the incubation period, to sit with a mentor or someone that has done and gone and been where you want to go. Stop. You got to check for receipts. Everybody a coach now. So you got to make sure that they have proof, right? So you got to look for the fruit. That's the second thing. And then you just got to be sensitive to when it's time. And the way you're sensitive to when it's time, it's right when your talent is meeting a need and people are reaching out to you for it. It seems to almost happen organically. That's when we say somebody's an overnight success. They weren't an overnight success.
At all.
They were working in the dark.
How, this even got offered to me. I started just doing random videos on my own thoughts about random things, whether it's a relationship, whether it's about God, whatever it is. I'll randomly put stuff out there, and people were literally, I've gotten so big on certain platforms with it. People are now like coming to me with their personal situations and coming to me and asking me things. And I remind every single person, I'm a student in the class with you. I'm just passing over the little answers I got. I'm teaching as I learn. I'm doing this. This is not yes, I know all what to do. No. I just had this happen yesterday. So, hey, I'm finna tell y'all what to do. Cause this shit real out here. And that's me. I'm like constant reminder. Like, I remind people, and I don't even gotta remind myself, cause I'm real with myself. So I'm okay with letting people know, like, no, I'm with you. We in this together. This is what I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like, for sure. So I get that. I get that all the way.
It's definitely a process. And when they start, and this is the other thing. So then repetition, right? I met this one girl, and I came up with this term in my book because of her. And I came up with the term launch lust. When somebody is constantly launching something, like, dude, like,
here they go again.
I'm right. Like, for real, like constantly launching something. That's a problem, And so I often walk people through that in my book. And when I'm working with them, I have a client that she's thinking when something's not working, she thinks she needs to come up with a new offer all the time. And it's just not that. What it is the fact that you haven't made a connection with your audience yet. And you haven't you haven't become vulnerable yet. You know what I mean? So it's really being able, and it varies for everybody. It does. It varies for everybody. And not everybody feels comfortable with being vulnerable, but we have gotten to a place in our country because of social media where we are used to seeing more of somebody's life now. Like
Yes.
because we want to know what's real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we want to be able to feel that it's real.
So it's safe to say with Toya,
yeah.
they're connecting with her, they're identifying with her, even without it being a product. And that's where I think maybe
she's the product.
It's an organic connection, because it's kind of like, wow, it's like, I don't feel like I'm being sold something, but when she's speaking to them, they naturally buying into it. And I guess what you're speaking of is people kind of do it the other way around, where they come up with the product, but they don't even have the demand yet. People
exactly. And so there's cultivating an audience in the midst of that too. You know what I mean? And being social on social media, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different aspects to it, and it does vary for some people. Personal brands, like she's the product. You know what I mean? So Toya is the product. She's the mouthpiece. She's the one bringing the information. They love the way she spits. You know what I'm saying? They love the way she shared. They love the way so she is the product, you know? And so creating a demand for the product or service is where the hard work is. And that takes time. So where do you imagine if somebody keeps switching, right? If they keep right when you feel like you could go with them, they've moved on to something else.
Yeah.
So I think so. Everything you speaking of is correct, but then I've heard you speak of people having millions of followers, but $0, right? And I think that happens because, they are, doing it for the gram, sharing things on the gram. They're doing the videos with the crust in their eyes, and people are connecting with them, and they have this big following, but they aren't monetizing it. From your experience, would you mind speaking to what from your experience and observation, like, okay, this is why they're not able to monetize that following?
Sometimes I have a saying that you can have a brand and not have a business. So what happens in that instance, if you just really meditate on that for a moment, a brand is what people say about you, it's the experience, it's your swag, it's your sauce, it's your, you know what I mean? It's the thing that makes you unique. It's all of that. You got a certain style and way you do things online. People are feeling it. They love how you dress. They love how you do your hair. They love some of the little cliches and phrases you come out with. People are feeling you and digging you, but you have not taken the time to build any systems behind that. And so that's what tends to happen. I have a class that I teach called A Brand New Romance, where I compare branding and marketing to dating. And I'm like, okay, so at the end of the day, if marketing is like dating, like it's that interaction with someone, then branding is the reason they'll say yes. Branding is the reason why somebody be like, I want to go further with you. Well, what happens in some of the cases with influencers is they're not taking people nowhere. Okay. So what's happening beyond the photo? This is why the Kardashians killed the game, because they gonna give you body, they gonna give you their life, and then they gonna tell you click here
and buy this. Thank you.
That's why Beyonce and Jay-Z are where they are. They only come out when they about to push, when they something about to drop. You don't see them. They incubate.
Nothing's aimless. Everything's, it's calculated.
It's very calculated.
Right. So when can I sign up?
And so literally, like those are the things I try to explain to people. Like you gotta have a pulse on what's going on, what the demands are in the marketplace for the space that you're in, who's trending there, what are some of the events that you need to go to. It's a lot of work. You got to do a lot of research.
You got to be okay, once again, being vulnerable and being ready to humiliate yourself. That's something big. I'll go through. I'm at that point in my life. I'm a whole mama. I've been out here for a long time. I've been through it. So I'm open right now. And even with my own co-host and the producer, I sit down just recently with them. I'm like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. And I want y'all to help me know what I'm doing. And people got to be okay with that, instead of me just jumping on like, so yeah, I'm a host. Bitch, I don't give a damn about that. I don't know what the hell going on. And people got to be okay with just saying, I don't know everything about what's going on right now.
I'm telling you.
And I'm okay right now today. No, I don't. But I want to learn. I'm open to learn. You know what I mean? Because this is important to me. This is where my heart is. My heart is with me anyways, and this was built around me, and that's why it's something that I could really do. I done finished school with dental. I just finished real estate school, stuff like that. But this is my whole me. I can literally feel it from my head to my toes. This is all me. So my heart's here, and I'm like, but I don't know what to do. And people
imagine how many people committing to businesses.
How do I turn this into something?
You know, they don't even understand. Like you just said, it's your whole you.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure you probably see this all the time, Coleen, where people, they are getting into marriages or commitments, like in other facets in their life. And it's like, wait, you didn't even necessarily want to go that way, but they just went ahead and said, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and take a chance, even though I don't feel it's my
that
whole
was me. That's
so
why I'm divorced.
It's probably happening with businesses. You probably see it all the time where people don't spend so much money and they so far in and they're like, dang it.
Yeah.
I should have.
They wasted some time. Because they invested in the look. They invested in, you know, marketing, and the boring stuff. Nobody doing the books. You don't have a CPA. You don't have an attorney. You didn't trademark anything. You know what I mean? You didn't set up right. You did all the cute stuff.
Cute stuff. It's real cute.
You did all the cute stuff, right? Yeah. So it's like literally, I'm like, you could know how to bake your behind off and don't know how to run the bakery, because it's a total different.
We both like, woo. Facts. Listen,
it's a total different level of skill sets that are required, and so that's when we begin to seek out partnership. That's when we begin to seek out hiring. I hired during the pandemic. We grew during the pandemic, like because of everything we're doing in digital courses and education. I do my best to make it not about my personality, but literally, you want to learn how to do X, Y, and Z, click this class, that's that. You want mentorship and coaching, join the network. You want to meet people, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And that's where a lot of people are. It's coming outside of that solopreneur space and building something like what Alex said, that's scalable, which require people that are trained, right? It requires leadership. It requires the things that are not sexy. That's what it requires.
A team too.
So with you speaking on like vulnerability being such a key thing with somebody establishing a following for themselves, you know, in a day and age where, you know, a lot of consumers are subscribing to cancel culture because of various reasons. When people speak about race, religion, politics, or even something that may have happened in their past that comes up later on, right? How is it that you media train a client nowadays, or you advise them to get media training? Or do you say it's no point anymore because it's like how you trying to keep up with the trends of the business? Every other day is something new that all of a sudden people are getting canceled for. You know what I'm saying? Does media training even exist in 2020, or is it like no point?
Oh, no, it does. I have a strong, number one, my mentor, again, she works with a lot of major brands, and she runs a public relations firm. That's what she does. Wow. And so she does experiential marketing. She has different people that help with brand curating, you know, PR, all that. And so I have a PR on my team also that I work with, and it is, PR training is huge. We are in very sensitive times, and you better know your audience. And so as a result of everything that has happened right now with racial tension, we've seen brands that never had, especially you look at the fashion industry, you look at the most popular things, entertainment, right, and fashion. And we see brands that never really embrace the culture starting to embrace the culture. We see people using more African prints that weren't using African prints. We see them using, you know, darker models that before weren't using darker models. So we see them embracing it, whether it's genuine or not. Right. That's left to what happens in the boardroom. Right. But however, they're understanding their audience, and we're being louder with our demands. We're being more vocal about our demands, and so we'll see how that reflects in the
one thing that stuck out to me, you said know your audience. And the fact that you said that, I seen 50 Cent break down in an interview recently where he's like, I'm allowed to say certain things that other people can't because like the people who already subscribe to me, they're already, suspecting me to go there. Kind of
They're
like
ready.
Kanye West, it's like the same thing.
That's
like
his audience.
Is that kind of what you're saying? Like if you
Absolutely.
have that audience, you better know how your
Exactly.
audience is going to feel.
Right.
Absolutely. Because for people that didn't subscribe to Black Lives Matter before, because it always did, but now they're realizing like how vocal we are, to shift their entire brand to focus on the movement is off brand.
Ah, okay.
You were, because you were, so don't try to deep dive into it now, because people are not, they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
They're not feeling
Gotcha.
it. It's ingenuous. Yeah. So
They know it's for the look.
They do.
Listen, that's why I just sprinkle a little bit of all kind of my weird. I'm gonna give you my weirdness. I'm gonna give you some off the wild.
But that's authentic to you, right?
Yeah, because that's me. So you gotta.
There you go.
You gotta understand. I make sure people know. Hey, hold on. All because I said I, believe in that don't mean I'm not gonna do me and be me. So I try to sprinkle all the parts of me, so they don't get caught up on one part.
Yeah,
I don't give a damn if the video did good. Hey, shit, that don't mean I just do that shit every day. Goddamn, I gotta let y'all let's straighten this shit now before I get any further. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it could come across very disingenuous when they do things that they weren't subscribing to before. Right. And so he's right. People know that their following, they know their audience, and they built a connection based on who they are. That's why I tell people branding is what is not seen first. It's the experience you provide. It's your essence. It's your spirit. It's your way of doing and being and living and talking. You know what I mean? It's what's not seen. And from that, you need somebody that understands that about the brand, the person, the organization, and then from there you create. It's not just create here, own this. Yeah. You know what I mean? We see it happen to artists all the time, right? We've seen it happen to major artists, these kids that grew up on Disney. It's like, no, you the Disney brand. And so when they do something opposite of that, their entire fan base is like, oh my gosh, you know what I'm saying? Johnny's fucking crack, And so we are like torn. Yeah, we are so torn. They lose their fan base. They lose their mind. They lose because it was not necessarily their brand. Somebody said, I need you to own this because that's what's popular right now. And that's when artists begin to really feel like they're not being authentic. That's when they begin to deep dive into drugs and alcoholism. They feel like they're not exercising that gift and that creative flow that they have, and they're not being authentic to themselves. And it causes trauma.
It's like you're trying to break out of that shell that they've been held in.
Well, yeah, that's why I be saying, I broke this down to my kids.
Lady Gaga just shift.
Yeah, because I literally broke this down to my children about skipping steps to life. And I think it starts. For me, I'm into health. I'm into your mental and your spiritual and all that first. Before I can even do anything, I got to get all that together. So, and I teach that to my children because they're like, oh, and my child, she told me, she was like, why? Because people end up on drugs. No. People will literally make it and then turn around and then end up committing suicide. End up going through a lot of different things because they skipped the step of who they were, and really just instead of just going after a check, going after that something that looked good or something like that, going after something that really just it's them and this is who they are. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So people kind of, as those kids in Disney, they don't even yet know who they are. No. So when they grow up, we're not even letting them be grown because they grew up as I'm a Disney star. Yep. That's what their first title. They didn't even get to be a child, half of those people. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they had to skip steps, and then go straight to here and can't even handle it.
So what do you say to people who sometimes may do this because of pressures, from people that they love, right? So a lot of these stars is the people that's handling their business that's putting them, pushing them to the forefront, or the fan base that they thought was subscribing to them, but only was subscribing to the facade. You got people who it happens as early as your household, from your childhood, whether it be like one of your parents or both of your parents, they expect you to be a certain way. You got a parent say, oh, you need to go work for the city or be a fireman or do this. And you like, nah, I want to go this route. You know what I'm saying? How do you coach clients like that? They may approach you and you can tell that there's some internal trauma that goes deeper than the business, where it's like, man, this has nothing to do with the business. This is something before you even came to me.
Yeah, and it happens. And I think for me, I'm able to share my story, honestly. Because I had to go through that myself, like just really finding out who I am and what I love to do. Again, I'm Jamaican. I grew up, my family came to the States when I was 1 year old. So me and my mother moved here first, and my father, he came over after. Everything was about education and getting into the nursing field. The matriarch, my aunt, who passed away when I was younger, she was able to travel the world with her nursing career as well. And she was just doing great things at a hospital in New York. And because of the opportunity for her to walk into that financial, increase and wealth, she was a homeowner in the States. She had a beautiful home in Brooklyn. We were able to live with her and come in the interim until we got settled. So a lot of the times when my family talks about moving to the States and being successful, they are correlating it directly to a field into the medical field. And so a lot of times for me growing up, it was like, oh, you gotta go to medical school. You gotta do X, Y, and Z. But I'm like, I cannot handle a horror film. Like,
that's me. I had CNA license and I never used it. I got that damn thing. I say, oh.
And it's fake, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's fake. I can't even handle the TV shows. Like, there is just no way I'm gonna be able to do this. And I started doing hair when I was 12, and working like on weekends. I would be braiding hair, when I was growing up on the weekends and making money and letting my parents know, like, I love doing this. And they're always like, oh yeah, that's good money on the side for when you go to school and you do, but I was bold enough to rebel in a sense and say, no, I want to do this. I want to see what it's like. So I connected with other salon owners. I was a shampoo girl, got understanding for the business, how it worked, let my parents know I wanted to open my own salon. And so it took them a minute to buy into it. And it was hard. It is hard, when the people you love see something different for you than you see for yourself.
And that's your first experience with love is from them too.
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially trying to convince something that doesn't have this instant glory. Like, look all this money I just made, trying to convince people like this is still going to work though. I know what you're trying to look at and what you're looking for, but I'm telling you, this is going to work. And that's hard to try to convince other people, your family especially, that just trust me, it's going to work. It might not be the way you want it to be, but it's going to work.
Exactly. And so it's like, sometimes it don't work.
It don't, for sure. You know how much shit I tried?
I have a theory. I think that's how a lot of people when they move out to Hollywood, you know what I'm saying, and they have those dreams and it don't necessarily work out. They don't even know how to call their family to say, hey, they want to go a different direction.
Right.
So that's where a lot of the anxiety, the depression, and all of that kicks in, and then some of them resort to drugs or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because they just like, man, I don't got nowhere else to turn to, because the people who I would expect to turn to, they probably gonna tell me I told you so. And that would kill me.
That's why I come in with the whole start working on yourself. When you figure out how to work on yourself and then you fall in love with yourself, you'll be able to go through all those damn things, because I know, Lord knows, all my friends and family that know me, they know damn what even Diaz know all the shit I done tried. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even had my own nail salon in Florida. You know what I'm saying? At once upon a time, a real salon, set up everything, money put all in, all that. And nope, this ain't it. And ended up having to let that go. And I'm okay with that. And turned around and worked in a salon, moved out the state, worked in a salon, and started all over again. And I'm okay with that, because I had to turn around though and work on myself. You know what I'm saying? So
that's your process. That's your process.
Yeah. And
that was your process. And I think that's what it boils down to. We got to be ready to own that. You know what I mean? That's it.
That comes with that self-love though.
It does. And again, I love what Alex said, because he's like, that starts at home. You know what I mean? Like we got to be careful with our kids and allow them to evolve allow them to evolve, allow them to make mistakes, because we did, you know
Yep.
what I mean? It's hard to see your kids go through that on the flip side. So I get it. Because it's hard to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hard to witness that. So
for sure.
There's no cookie cutter response. There's no cookie cutter answer to life. You know what I mean? So
if you would mind speak to, because in your blog you also mentioned how it was like mistakes that people make in their marriages, and even as adults sometimes, because one mate is on a journey, they're trying to pull the other one on that same journey, and it's like your mate doesn't want to do exactly what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not meant for y'all to be business partners. It's meant for them to do what they're doing, you to do what you're doing. If you would mind speak to people who may be struggling with that, because they're trying to force the family business, and it's like
let her say it. I know I can't. Y'all don't want to hear my shit. Go ahead.
Again, being married 20 years, we pretty much grew up together. I met my husband when I was a senior in high school, and he wasn't in high school at the time. He had already graduated out of high school, but we had friends that were dating, and they broke up 2 weeks later, and we stayed in contact. And we pretty much raised each other. You know what I mean? Wow. Like I'm 17, he's 19, and we've been together 20 years. So literally we've gone through so many different scenarios and situations, and it's hard. It's hard. You have to make sure that you surround yourself with people that are fighting for family and fighting for marriage. People that aren't trying to assert authority over each other, like they're not in a competition, is what I'm saying, with one another.
Right.
That's important. We see all these power couples and what we, hashtag marriage goals and all that. If I don't know you, I can't really say, I can't speak to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's cute, but I can't really speak to that, because some of the cutest couples a year from now, 2 years, we see what happens. Like, oh, what the heck? Like, what happened? You don't had a whole marriage retreat, and
I'm trying. Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just you were just marketing brand, getting people to buy into something. So you got to have people that are in your corner for real. Comes back to that relationship piece, and who's in our circle, who's around us, and people that can hold you accountable. And so we have regular coaches that we speak with individually and together. They're licensed. They're licensed therapists. And so we speak to them. I remember going through stages where I felt like he wasn't as ambitious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so I had to really be mindful of the words I was using and talking at him, you know what I mean? And things like that, when I felt like he wasn't as ambitious as I wanted him to be. And it's just a matter of, he's different, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that it's something wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm not trying to be married to myself. It looks real crazy.
Yeah. In our community, a lot of times we think different equals wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we demonize anything that's different.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I'm okay with, because I was married up once upon a time too, and did the whole we're married thing, but this was long before I was trying to do anything on social media though as well. But and I'm okay with it. Like there's couples right now that have YouTube channels and they've been successful together and all that. But for me, it's like that it's hard, because you look at it and it's like, dang, well, I hope that's more than just a brand for them. You know what I mean? Because me personally, I don't feel like that is a brand.
Yeah.
That's not a brand for me. I don't care what y'all do all day. And I don't give, you know what I'm saying? That's some real life shit. Okay.
There's a lot that goes with that. Yeah, there's a lot of responsibilities that goes with that. And I commend people that share, you know what I mean? And they're just like the entire brand and focus of this show is like, even if it's ugly, even if it's not, if something's not working, can you share? Like,
are you okay?
Because what happens, it's hard when we keep buying into these lies.
Yes.
And so what happens is we mimic that, we mock that. You know what I'm saying? And so we become what we behold, is what I'm saying. So that's why representation is so important. And what we see, if all we see Black people do is thug life and twerking, then
we gonna keep doing it.
We're gonna keep
Don't even be wanting to. Just a bunch of damn robots. Just everybody. Just like,
it's the nature
of
it's the nature of humans in general. Is to be able to, when you constantly see something, you begin to take that on. And so again, if we could just be transparent and honest about it, it makes a difference. I remember one of the number one topics when I launched CEO Chicks was talking about marriage. Being married to a CEO chick. We did it for a hot minute. It's been over a year, I think, since we had any more conversations about it. But I was meeting women that were literally like killing it in business and horrible as wives, and I didn't understand it.
Yes.
And so as I began to understand, there were some things that were happening in different cases, because it's different for each couple. There was some where the husband was envious or jealous of the wife. And there was some where the wife thought he was jealous, but he wasn't. And like, no, that ain't what that was, sis. Right. You're reading that all wrong. You've been watching somebody else going through that. You think that
he just wanted you to cook. That's all.
That's all. He hungry. He hangry. In fact, he hangry. Okay? He hangry. You know what I mean? So
we got all about that. Okay.
Yeah. I remember the day when I was in that position myself and feeling like, okay, he's not getting it. He can't match my energy. You know what I mean? He can't match my bossiness or whatever the case is. I don't even know what that is. Right. The fact of the matter is, you do need somebody that can bring you down. You do need somebody that can help you relax. You do need somebody that's going to balance you. And so I had to appreciate that in us and understand that God brought us together for that purpose, and that I challenge him in ways that he, in different ways, and he challenges me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
not all one way. All because you got it over here, that don't mean that's just all it's about. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And then learning how the love language of your spouse, and understanding what things do motivate them. And when I start talking like that, listen, I have some women that are like, I ain't raising no man. I ain't doing this and that. That's too much. You know, and I'm like, well, then do what you do. But I know what works for my household. You know? Right. I know what works over here.
Exactly.
Well, speak to that, right? Because like men, a lot of times we put a lot of pressure on like women to be almost like they like our mate, and you know what I'm saying, in a sense we have them do things like that our mama would do, right? So speak to like a CEO chick, right? A girl that is powerful, you know what I'm saying, running her own business, or very just in a business affluent field, maybe like a doctor or the legal field, but she still has to come home, cook for her man. She still got to pleasure him in the bedroom. She still maybe have kids. They got all types of stuff like that. Speak to, do you think there's somewhat of a give and take to where if she is in a field like that, some of these things she might not be able to do as much? Or it sounds like the way you're speaking, you got to check all those boxes.
Do it. I still do my, I have days I cook and days I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's things he has to do as well. So it comes down to what you guys agree on in your relationship.
Communication.
Yeah, period.
Gotcha.
It comes down to what you got. My husband is not the type of husband that is going to flip if I don't cook.
Right. Right.
That's not how he is, because I'm going to still make sure we eat, even if I don't. That's the thing. So that's not a non-negotiable for him. And so we need to have those conversations. See, what happened is we allowed lust to lead, right? And so he fine, we together, we good, we doing it, people love us, we popping, when we go out, we look, what? Like, right.
Be so aggravated with each other. Don't even like each other for
exactly. Seriously. Because there's no communication, there's no real connection. There's those conversations aren't happening. Sex is not a task. You know what I'm saying? If you're good at it, you like, what time? Let's go. What we doing now? Like, you ready. Like, you're not like, oh, I gotta pleasure him. No, he gotta pleasure me too. Like, that's not.
What's funny? I think we taught growing up, right? Especially in our community, right? And in our generation, we taught the man's supposed to wear the pants, right? But I kind of look at it a little different, right? I look at it where it's like you respect your woman if she's someone that you comfortable with being submissive to, you know what I'm saying? Because there's got to be somebody that, you know what I'm saying, they can speak to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, how you see like a certain like monster or something in a movie, they know like got to call this person because they can talk them down off their ledge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like for some reason, a lot of like men in our culture are afraid of that. You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't look for someone that they could be submissive to, because like you said, maybe they are intimidated of them, or they're jealous, or
there's different insecurities.
Like
so many different ones,
Yeah.
and so many different traumas that we come from, and situations we go. Like you said, it starts at home. All of this, how we are as adults, started where we were as children. Every single one of us have a story, or done been through something, or done seen something.
Seriously.
My biggest thing with relationships, whether it's a relationship, marriage, friendship, I tell people all the time, what people don't tell you, they'll show you. And if what you don't tell, you will show yourself. And that's really what it comes down to, is the communication, because that's when you get down to, now you don't like each other. Why? Because you never started the communication where it needed to start at. Where this was just, sometimes you start, especially in the beginning when you're just trying to have somebody, because that happens a lot. People just want to have somebody. So they letting shit slide all damn.
Red flag, just waving, just
right. I'm cool with that, like, cause I don't be like tripping on it. All right, okay. You know what I'm saying? And then mess around, your heart be broken. You feel me? Like, oh, that's just so cool. And ain't that damn cool. But see, that starts with.
So you and your husband, y'all overcame a lot. I heard you speak of, you lost 4 houses, I think 3 cars, 2 businesses, and at one point even had to move back home, right? If you wouldn't mind, speak to just how you've been able to persevere, not only as within your marriage, but more as a business person, because a lot of times that's enough for somebody to say, you know what, man, forget this ain't for me. I'm just going to go ahead and hop back into the 9-to-5 workforce.
It's personal. Let me tell you, it's personal, but for sure, faith and family, like ultimately, and divorce never came up. Like I tell people, divorce never came up. And I remember the day I looked at him, it was like a Hallmark movie. And I was like, you my home. You know what I'm saying? I'm me with you. Like, that's it. That's home. Like, and I have to say, like, his parents are together and have been for years. My parents are together and have been for years. It's what we've seen, right? We've seen his parents fall out, argue, come back together. I've seen the same thing. So I feel like that is something that is a commitment that we were brought up in. So it's a standard for us as well. You know what I mean? Outside of course.
It's a blessing for both of y'all to be able to come from that, to make it work the way. Because, I mean, it just makes sense.
Exactly. Because I know some people that would have walked away. I've seen it. I've seen it. Like,
I've done it.
I'm
divorced. I've done it. Dead ass. No, can't do it no more. Can't do it. And we ain't come from that. Neither one. So, like, you know what I mean?
That's good. That's a good point.
Because I had to understand, like, our background, where it was going to lead to constant disrespect, constant never getting this together. You know what I mean? So we tried it. I tried it. I'm done, because especially when, for me, I'm like, man, listen, when it starts affecting you, your body, it's time to go. Yeah. It's time to go. If it physically affects me, like, it's one thing to bother me, but if you physically affected me and making me ill with stress, it's time to damn go.
So if I'm hearing you right, because the home, you know what I'm saying, remained intact, that's what gave you that perseverance to say, you know what, I can thug it out and I can get my business back up and running. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to run. You know what I'm saying? I can still stand 10 toes down with this, because if I got my mate with me and me and him both come from people that, overcome struggles within a household, we definitely can overcome a financial struggle.
And financially, like, when you look at the millionaires and billionaires, they've all filed bankruptcy several times over. I also talk about how we spent times in the bookstore, because that was our free date place. Like, we ain't got to pay to get in. We love information. We needed to be inspired. So we would go every week to the bookstore and just read stories of different people and all the time that they filed for bankruptcy, going through their process, understanding this was ours. Like, this is our process. This is our quarantine. This is our recession. This is our test. Every life has one. Like, everybody has a test that they're going to have to endure, something they're going to have to pioneer through. And this was ours. And so there were times listen, am I saying it was perfect all the time? No, there was times I was like, I can't talk to you today. I don't want, because there were times where he felt paralyzed. His manhood was hurt.
Yes.
And I needed him to hurry up and heal so he could, like, be the king again. You know what I'm saying?
That sound like a book title right there.
Hey, you can get up.
Hurry up and heal.
I really wanted him to own that, but it was hard for him. And he speaks to that too, because not only were we going through things, loss financially, we were going through loss of friends that we thought we had. We were in leadership in churches and we were no longer there. We were the top givers at our church. We were no longer the top givers. Everywhere where we were being praised and acknowledged was taken from us. And there's a principle, a spiritual principle that we often followed, where you fast and pray, right? It's where you take yourself away from eating and the joys of all this, luxury, and you focus to hearing from God. And it felt like our entire life was put on a fast. And I talk about it in my book. Like everything we had, the vehicles, the cars, the houses, the friends, all of it was removed. And it was like God saying, okay, so now what?
Right.
That makes sense, man. Because I seen him. I followed your husband before I knew who you were. I followed him maybe like a couple of years ago, and he always the vibration that I get with stuff from him. It seemed that spirit. It all makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like I can't say it's times I've ever seen Tony Trades put up a post without a smile on his face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I put that there.
I like that.
That's me. Okay.
I love it.
That's right.
I put that there.
I know we speak spiritual, but baby, I did that one. Okay.
I remember one time, and this is just how I just sometimes feel like God do me a certain way. I was in a meeting with a whole bunch of women, and the lady that was hosting, I posted, it was years ago, and I talked about this very moment, and I said there was times I had to shut these lips and use the other one, and the whole church was like, did she just say?
And I hope everybody else.
And then they were like, amen. And the lady that was hosting the marriage panel had just gone through a fresh divorce and broke down in tears and couldn't come back to host, because she said, had she spoke to someone like me, she would have hung in there a little bit longer. Because
don't tell me that.
She told me afterwards, when I shared my testimony about that, about understanding the power of our sexuality, understanding the power of our strength and our influence, not there, but right up in here. I'm showing my sons what relationship look like. I'm showing my sons how a woman moves. I'm showing them how she can be, you know what I'm saying, how she can persevere and still be a lady. I'm showing them, I'm demonstrating all that. I'm the one that has to inspire my husband. And you know what I mean? Like I'm in a house of all boys. So my essence has to speak for itself. You know, they know when mommy's mad. They know when mommy's happy. They know when, and I don't try to like front or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, the power of life and death is in our tongue. And there is times that I saw his ego was broken. I saw it was hard for him to get back up. His mentors had crushed him. And he literally, I was all he had. So can you imagine if I turned around and said, you ain't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Can you imagine what that would do to that man?
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Dropping the mic. You ain't got a mic in front of you, but
please, Lord, my body's so filled with chills and all kind of stuff. Like
it's that real. It's that real. It's right there. It's right in that space where you want to give up. That you have to understand, like, no, you serve a God, a creator that's like, I know that they might walk out on you, but he won't. And so he had to use me to speak to him. And I shared that story. Some people got offended with it. I don't care. When I shared it and I talked about it, a lady was like, that's too much. I'm not birthing. She used the term, I'm not birthing my mate. And I'm like, listen, that's your situation. You do what you do.
Yeah. And I'm whatever works for you, baby.
Whatever works for you over here. You know
whatever work or don't work.
Right. None of my business.
Because there's times he had to love me through some stuff too. So
I'm trying to tell you, yes, it's not always.
Like that's what a partnership is. It's not 50-50. It's 100-100 or sit down.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and as women though, it's so funny how someone can speak so quickly on how they're not going to birth their mate or whatever, but we literally put life on earth. We are really mother of all.
And that's
how I look at women. How I look at us. We are really mother of all. So it is very important for us to find our way out here and to find our strength, because everything is working against you. Anything that's good on earth, is there something right here to work against it, and that's how we're gonna set up till we end it. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like more and more, I mean, why not? I don't care if it's not even your mate, even if it's your neighbor, even if it's somebody on. When I speak, I don't know who I'm speaking
to. Foster care. My mom's in her 70s. She just got she's done foster care for years. She just got another little girl.
We're a mother of all. Do you know how big of a situation? You know how big of a being you are if you can put a human being on earth?
That's right.
Your job is way bigger than what you think.
Yeah, my fiance work in child care, and I'd be like, how do you deal with that? And she tell me, she goes, they children. She's like, you were a child too. I'm like, you're right. You know what I'm saying? We always a child.
I don't care if it's grown. You are a mother of all. If you are a creator on this earth, you are a mother of all people. Very true. And we are all here together and living this life together.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks. Well, we definitely we more than grateful for your time.
Yes, thank you so much.
I mean, you just dropped gym after gym after gym. Something we ask everybody to do here on Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths before they go is, they say we are some of the 5 people that we surround ourselves with the most. Whether it be physically or just communicating with them virtually, whatever. If you wouldn't mind, shout out the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most that play a part in the reflection of what we see from you.
Absolutely. Number 1, of course, would be my husband, as you mentioned, Tony Coleen Otero, for sure. He's been my coach since day one. Okay. Second would be a good girlfriend of mine out of Chicago. Her name's Jennifer Enders. She is like the yin to my yang outside of my husband. Like they really, really got my back, you know what I mean, and really hold me up. And then third would be Christina Buell. She is another young lady out here in Orlando that just full of wisdom, life, energy. Like I absolutely love her. My mentor, Michelle Flowers out of Chicago would be number 4. Like it's just like all hail the queen. Like when she come through, it's just, she's so graceful. She's so full of fruit and juicy fruit too, like just life, and to see her life played out and the information that she shares with me, it just really, really keeps me in the fight. You know what I mean? My own fight. And then I would definitely say the 5th I got a few. The 5th
you fine. We say 5, but it's
yeah, for sure. But definitely the 5th person is my husband and I, our pastor. He's incredible, younger than us. But just real on fire, full of wisdom. And I love the fact that he's so practical with his teaching. Like in times past, everything, it seemed like, how can we obtain that? It seems so far-fetched and so like Huxtable, you know what I mean? Like, is that real? Yeah. But the way he brings the word of God to that practical place has changed our lives 100%.
Awesome.
Gotcha. And his name's Dr. Matthew Stevenson out of Chicago. Chicago is home away from home for us. Like we literally just the other weekend, like just got flights. I looked at my husband. I was like, I'm ready to go. Like out of here. Like, all right, so for sure. And of course, our family unit, like we got 4 kids. Our family unit was very much a part of that. The traveling when I'm gone, that everybody helps to see us succeed. So I'm just grateful for that.
Gotcha. Well, it's no such thing as a shameful plug here on Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths. So, you pretty much plug everything from hashtags, @signs, .coms, whatever, for somebody to be able to spend money with you, like Toya said, where I sign up at, so.
Yeah, for real.
Plug everything that you got going on.
Oh yeah, so for sure, you can connect with me and our tribe over at CEO Chicks. That's on Instagram. Our website is ceochicksonline.com, and then my website is Coleen Otero, and because my whole team is like just tribal everywhere we go. But on my page, it's Coleen Otero CEO, and we have all the links there of the various services and things that we offer. If you want to be a part of the network, if you just want one class here and there, we have a digital vault where you can access different classes. If you're looking for help financially, I'm gonna plug my husband at Tony Trades. Like, he's a financial advisor, so you can connect with him and he'll definitely be able to help you just get your portfolio together. Like I said earlier, diversify or die. Like, that's just our mantra right now for 2020. We're not going to sleep, and we making sure that we are preparing to the best of our ability for whatever is to come. So for sure, check them out as well.
And one thing, only because I hear the title CEO Chicks, and you have 4 boys, and you speak of,
I know.
Yeah. Do you ever take on any male clients? Like, if a male wanted to take advantage of your branding services?
Oh yeah, and I have. And okay. They do. They hit me up. They hit me up all the time, for sure.
Right.
For sure.
Got you.
Right.
That's what's up. Well, yeah, we definitely grateful again.
Yeah, we definitely grateful for having you today.
So much.
Appreciate you.
So awesome.
What's up?
What's going on? So glad that you was able to get on.
Thanks for the plug.
Oh, definitely.
That's what I'm saying.
Appreciate you.
Always.
So we'll definitely get up and we'll let you know all the information and everything like that for the show when it's releasing. And I stay in contact with you. So
and shout out your book. Shout out your book. We're gonna edit this in there. Shout out your book.
Oh, for sure. Here.
Brand the Bucks.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So this is the book, Brand to Bucks. I wrote it back in 2018 when I launched from Paris. I was like, I'm doing my first book, and I don't even want to be in the States when it happens. I wanted to be in Paris when I launched it. So that was definitely a step of faith. But Brand to Bucks is on Amazon, so you can grab a copy there.
Nice.
Thank you, guys. This is awesome.
Thank you. Have a blessed one.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. All right.